Morning, everyone. Perek Ches Mishna Tes. This is a continuation from yesterday's Mishnah. Or shasachai b'shemen shel shvius, a hide that was smeared with oil of Shemitah. Rebbe Lezer says, what do you do with that? You dull you burn it. You got to burn that piece of hide. The Chachamim say, Yoicha kenegdai. You have to now take produce of Shemitah that has the same value of that oil that you used and can sit and treat and eat that and treat that like Shemitah. Now, this is really identical to the case that we had yesterday of the last thing the previous Mishnah said, you cannot smear vessels with oil of Shemitah. And if you do so, you have to eat an amount of produce or treat an amount of produce equal in value to that oil as Shemitah. That was talking about smearing vessels with Shemitah oil. And today we're talking about smearing a hide with Shemitah oil. It's the same case. And that's why the Chachamim say that what do you do if you misuse that Shemitah oil? You take regular produce with the same value and treat it like Shemitah. And the assumption is that that's exactly the same thing as before. Rebbe Lezer is being introduced in our Mishnah to teach us something brand new, that he seems to go is very strict. And he says that if you misused the Shemitah oil, the fine is not just to now take other produce and treat it like Shemitah, but rather you got to destroy what you used that Shemitah oil for. In this case, it's going to be the skin, and presumably in the previous case, it's going to be that vessel. So that is something new that we're being introduced to in this Mishnah. Rebbe Lezer's opinion, this very strict opinion about what you have, what's the fine, what's the punishment when you misused the Shemitah produce. Now the Mishnah continues. Amru lefnei Rabbi Akiva. The sages said to Rabbi Akiva, Oimahai Rebbe Lezer said, a hide that was smeared with oil of Shemitah has to be burned, as the beginning of our Mishnah said. Amar lahem, Rabbi Akiva said to them, Shteiku, be silent. I will not tell you what Rebbe Lezer says about this. So the Bartanur explains that Rabbi Akiva was a student of Rebbe Lezer. And it seems that the sages, and as our beginning of our Mishnah, had a tradition that Rebbe Lezer had made this very strict statement about the oil, about the hide that was smeared with the Shemitah oil. To that, Rabbi Akiva said, Shteiku, silent. It's wrong. What you just said is not true. He never could have made such a strict statement because I heard from him a much more lenient statement about this. At the same time, he said, I'm not going to tell you what Rebbe Lezer said. Rebbe Lezer's leniency here was considered very extreme. He didn't want to reveal it. But his whole point was, though, that Rebbe Lezer, the statement that you're saying, Rebbe Lezer, that he says you got to burn the hide or destroy the vessel that the Shemitah oil was smeared on, that's not true. He was really, in truth, he wasn't extremely stringent. He was really extremely lenient. They didn't want to tell them what that leniency was. The Tanur brings down that the no, it doesn't bring it down. The Yad Avram brings down through Yerushalmi the opinion of one Amoy. Rebbe Lezer said you're allowed to use Shemitah oil to smear hides. That was his real leniency, at least according to Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Akiva, his leniency was you could actually use it to smear the hide, which means you're actually using the oil, not in a way that's similar to eating, because there's no human consumption there. Nonetheless, he allowed it to happen. That's, again, according to Yerushalmi, according to one Amora who says that's what the leniency was. But whatever the leniency was, that was, Rabbi Akiva didn't want to reveal the leniency. His point just is that based on leniency that he knows, he could never have said that stringency that you said about burning the hide that was smeared with the Shemitah oil. Okay, this was a very short Mishnah, and we're going to do another Mishnah. And that Mishnah reads, there was another thing the sages said to Rabbi Akiva and then Rebbe Lezer, and that was, Rebbe Lezer said, if you eat the bread of kusim, It's like eating the flesh of a pig. It's like eating pig meat. Eating the bread of kusim is just like eating meat from a non-kosher animal. Okay, so we need a little bit of introduction here, a little explanation. What is pas kusim? What does it mean, the bread of kusim? Who are kusim? So explanation that bring down here from the Yad Avram is the following. After the exile of the 10 tribes by the Syrian kings, non-Jewish inhabitants of Kutha and various other areas under Assyrian domination were brought in by the conquerors to inhabit the desolate land. Because they were informed by a prophet that a plague of wild animals which ravaged Samaria was due to their idolatry, these pagan peoples converted to Judaism. Okay, they were called Geri Arayas. They were attacked by lions. Because of that, they converted. So they were Gentiles brought in to inhabit desolate areas of Eretz Yisrael. They had converted. Now, even though they converted, they were not the most observant. There was a whole discussion, number one, what to really consider them true converts, based on the fact that they converted only out of fear of the lions. And even if you did accept their conversion, there was still a question of how much can you trust them? Because they weren't, in certain things, they were very lax. Okay. At the same time, these Kusim, even if you consider them Jewish, they were a separate sect, and they were very hostile to the building of the second Beis HaMikdash, and even tried to destroy it, based on the Gemara in Yuma, when they went out, when they told Alexander the Great that the Jews were rebelling. So at a certain point of time, the Chachamim declared that the bread of Kusim is forbidden. That's what they declared. They declared it was forbidden. Why did they declare it's forbidden? Discussion about that. There's a Tosfos in Chulin brought down by the Yad Avram who explains that its roots is in, there was an excommunication pronounced upon the Kusim by Ezra because of their opposition to the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. And based on that excommunication that Ezra put on them, that's the basis of why they forbade their bread. So Rebbe Eliezer said, eating their bread is like eating pig meat. Now, he didn't mean that literally, because chazer meat is also deraisa. If you eat it, you get lashes. And bread of kusim is midrabanan, rabbinic, and you don't get lashes for that. In order to stress the severity of the prohibition, that's why he made the comparison. But he was according to this, he was very strict on this prohibition. Omar lahem, so when they said this, Rabbi Akiva's response was similar to the previous response. Shtoku, be silent. I'm not going to tell you what Rebbe Eliezer really said about kusim bread, which means that Rebbe Eliezer was very lenient with regard to kusim in general. And the Yerushalmi brings down a view, again, of one Amora. Rebbe Eliezer held that you can buy chametz from a guy from a kusi after Pesach, and not to be concerned that he was lax in regard to the laws of chametz. That's how far he went. You can trust him that whatever you're buying from him after Pesach is not chametz that was there on Pesach. And that was considered a big leniency because the kusim, according to many of the kusim, couldn't trust him for that. But he went as far as to say you could. But whatever it may be, it seems that he was very lenient when it came to the kusim. And therefore, Rekiva was saying it can't be that it was as strict as you just said, that eating their kusi bread is like eating chazer. Can't be, because I know that he was much more lenient when it came to the kusim. And therefore, Rabbi Kiva was saying that it can't be that Rebbe Eliezer was made this statement. Okay. And just to mention, in the previous Mishnah about whether you have to burn it or not, the halacha is you don't have to. If you smear the hide or the vessel with the Shemitah oil, you don't have to burn it. Okay. Let's now do the Sefer HaMitzvot. This means is that there's a prohibition against leading a Jewish city astray to worship idols. You want to get up there, you get in front of the city, you make this big speech on behalf of the idols, and you convince everybody they should worship it. You know that's a prohibition. Shenemar, as it says, it shall not be heard on your mouth. The name of idol should not be heard on your mouth. That goes for sure as far, and this is going, and this is where we're learning that you can't go convincing others to worship idols. And now the Chavetz Chaim goes into some terms. Mesis liyachid, if you convince an individual, you persuade an individual, to worship idols, nikra mesis. You're called a mesis, you're called a persuader. Mesis larabim, if you persuade many people, nikra madiach, then you're called a mediach, then you're called one who leads astray. But it's both the same thing. Umisasa deskila, the punishment for such a person is stoning. Even if he didn't himself worship it. But he persuaded them until they did the worshiping. If he persuades them and they actually worshipped, he will be chayiv skila even if he never did the actual worshiping. This applies in all places, at all times, both by men and by women. Have a wonderful day.